الدولتين في وطن واحد هي فرصة للشعبين الفلسطيني والإسرائيلي للوصول إلى سلام عادل قدر الإمكان ومستقر ودائم وثابت.
Two-state one homeland is an opportunity for the two people to live in peace, in a stable peace.
هاي فرصة حقيقية وممكنة بجهود الشعبين وبمساندة العالم أجمع.
This is a possible. It is possible to do it for the two people and with the support of the world. We, Two States One Homeland, we joined ALLMEP 2 years ago. We are proud to be part of this great group of organization working for peace in Israel-Palestine. We hope to grow together with ALLMEP and the other organization working for peace. And if you want to know more about us, Two States One Homeland, you can go to our website, ALLMEP for All, in English, Arabic, and Hebrew.
Okay, hi, my name is Dr. Tariq Abu Hamid. I am the Executive Director of the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies. The Arava Institute is an academic and research institution that focuses on transboundary environmental issues of the region that we live in. We joined ALLMEP because it's a great platform that can deliver our voice and our impact to various decision makers and policy makers around the world. It increases our chances of cooperation and also increases the impact that we have on the region. For more information about the Arava Institute, please visit our website at www.arava.org.
Greetings to all on the occasion of ALLMEP's global celebration of the Peacebuilding Community. I am Dr. Thabit Aburaz, the Co-Executive Director of the Abraham Initiatives. Abraham Initiative is an Israeli NGO committed to a shared society with equality for the Jewish and Palestinian citizens of Israel. By advocacy through action, we operate programs that demonstrate the changes we seek in order to show the implication of policy change to decision makers, to showcase the value of shared society to society as a whole. We joined ALLMEP at its inception and are proud to be members. ALLMEP embraces our core values, and it's an honor to be part of this alliance for Middle East peace with so many other similarly devoted NGOs. Please read more about our work in our website, abrahaminitiatives.org, and in our Facebook page. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria Al-Khalidi. I am a Public Relations Officer at the Jerusalem Center for Women. The Jerusalem Center for Women was established in 1994 in East Jerusalem. The center mainly aims at empowering women to create a strong community where women stand strong and united alongside men. Our mission is to create this community of women who are resilient change makers and enhance their participation in community activism and politics. So basically, our work is we do capacity building programs, we do trainings for women based on women's rights, CEDAW 1325, like gender-based violence, like for example, our Breaking the Taboos program. We also work in the field of conflict resolution and peace building. We have a program for that. And finally, we work in the field of preserving the environment. For example, we have the bread recycling and the plastic recycling projects. We joined the Alliance for Middle East Peace a year ago in 2020. And we did that to benefit from the experience and diversity of other organizations and to find what we can add to our work.
Hello everybody, my name is Hamza Waudi. I am the Regional Manager at Hands of Peace in Palestine. Hands of Peace empowers young American, Israeli, and Palestinians to be the agents of change. Their journey starts with a dialogue-based summer program in the United States. We continue to support our alumni as they grow, cultivating resilient and compassionate leaders who work together in a global network in order to build constructive attitudes and systems that foster equality, freedom, and social justice. Hands of Peace joined ALLMEP in 2015 to add our voices to the hundreds of others working for peace and justice, and to connect our participants and alumni with a broader network of agents of change and activists. If you want to learn more about our work, please visit our website at www.handsofpeace.org.
Hello, I'm Father Nicholas, the founding director of Jerusalem Peacebuilders. Jerusalem Peacebuilders, or JPB, specializes in interfaith peace and leadership training. We focus our impact on three primary areas: Israeli high school teachers, Palestinian women in the West Bank, and Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Druze youth in the Holy Lands. We joined ALLMEP in 2017 because we believe we are stronger and more effective when we work together. Find out more about our mission and impact at JerusalemPeacebuilders.org.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Nava Chefetz, Education Director of Rabbis for Human Rights. In our organization, we are 130 rabbis from all genders and denominations. We are fighting for human rights, and we believe that human rights can promote peace, and we're very honored to be part of ALLMEP, our colleagues and friends.
Hi everybody, I'm so excited to be involved in this wonderful ALLMEP event. My name is Dr. Alec Isaacs, and I'm one of the three co-directors of an organization called Siach Shalom, or Talking Peace. Just over 10 years ago, my partners Avinoam Rosnak and Sharon Leshem-Zinger and I set out to try and create an opportunity for the peace effort to reach those communities who had been estranged by it in the past. In particular, we were interested in the religious communities who had been alienated by the approach to peace that dominated the Oslo process. Gradually, we brought them into conversations and into workshops and dialogues with people in the Israeli left. And as our organization grew and developed, we reached out to Palestinians, we reached out to Palestinian citizens of Israel. The amazing thing about ALLMEP is that they have created an overarching umbrella, a community that we can all be part of together despite our differences.
Good evening, my name is Robbie Damlin, and I joined the Parent Circle after my son David was killed by a Palestinian sniper. We are a group of Palestinians and Israelis who believe in reconciliation and non-violence. You might say that reconciliation doesn't make any sense because there's no peace in the picture. However, if we do not have this framework for a reconciliation process, we can at best just expect a ceasefire. We are so grateful to ALLMEP. ALLMEP have been a friend for so many years and have opened doors in the Congress, and during the last war, many of the Zooms that they had where we met other NGOs were just a solace and a recognition how necessary it is to belong to a group of like-minded people. We would like to offer you more about the Parent Circle, so I think the best idea would be for you to go into our website, and perhaps you would like to invite us to come and do a dialogue meeting for your congregation or for the people that you know, and also join our newsletter. Thank you.
Greetings from Haifa to all of you, the extended ALLMEP community. My name is Michael Schnall, and I'm the Regional Director for Pathways Institute for Negotiation Education. At Pathways, we're working throughout the education system and civil society in Israel to provide Hebrew and Arabic speakers meaningful opportunities to connect and explore negotiation in safe, inclusive, and experiential learning environments using methodology developed at the Harvard Negotiation Project. At the outbreak of the pandemic, we designed and implemented a virtual negotiation course for ALLMEP member organization alumni, bringing Palestinian and Israeli civil society leaders together to explore negotiation in the context of leadership. We joined ALLMEP almost a decade ago as we shared their belief that cooperation is an essential ingredient to building a brighter future in the region. We continue together with ALLMEP as they remain both at the forefront of the field and deep in the heart of that work. If you'd like to learn more about Pathways or our ongoing cooperations with ALLMEP, you can visit our website at pathwaysnegotiation.org or reach out to any one of your ALLMEP contacts who will be able to direct you right to us. Enjoy the rest of the celebration, stay safe, and thank you for your tremendous and ongoing support.
Greetings from Dubai. Let me tell you about ropes.
Since early 2017, Ropes has been working to expand the Coalition for Israeli-Palestinian Peace by reaching out to emerging leaders across the Arab world who share our vision of an integrated, post-conflict Middle East that fully includes the states of Israel and Palestine. Our network includes young diplomats, members of parliament, journalists, and business leaders from the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, Egypt, Jordan, and many other Arab countries. And with the doors opened by the Abraham Accords, we're now working with them to launch programs in education, climate change, and other fields of impact that connect young Israelis and Palestinians with peers throughout the Arab world. We joined ALLMEP because across the Middle East and North Africa, a pragmatic new generation of young leaders wants to roll up their sleeves and be part of our movement. They just need someone to show them the ropes.
Hi, my name is Jake Shapiro. I'm speaking on behalf of Tech to Peace. Tech to Peace brings together young Palestinians and Israelis to innovate together towards a better future and a new reality. Tech to Peace hosts intensive training seminars and alumni activities where young Palestinians and Israelis engage in conflict dialogue, learn high-tech skills, and practice entrepreneurship together. We aim to spread a positive vision of Israeli-Palestinian cooperation and show to society that this type of cooperation is possible. We joined ALLMEP because we support ALLMEP's policy advocacy activities and their desire to bring more funding to the region. We also support strengthening the peacebuilding ecosystem as a whole. You can learn more about us on www.techtopeace.com or by following us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram.
I'm Vivian Silver from a kibbutz bordering the Gaza Strip. I'm a proud member of Women Wage Peace, an Israeli grassroots movement of tens of thousands of members, Jewish and Arab, religious and secular, from the right, left, and center of the political spectrum. We have only one mission, and that is to advocate and press for a political agreement to finally end the decades-old Palestinian-Israeli conflict, with the full participation of women in all levels of negotiations. We joined ALLMEP because we believe in the need for an internationally led coalition of Israeli and Palestinian peace organizations. In a world that only hears about hatred and violence in our region, ALLMEP provides a much-needed platform and visibility to share our vision for peace. Learn more about us on our website, womenwagepeace.com. Sign our joint Palestinian-Israeli Mothers Call for Peace. Join our Women Wage Peace Worldwide Supporters Facebook page. Help strengthen the call for peace in our region. Thank you.
My name is Norbert Goldfield. I'm the founder and executive director of a 17-year-old organization, Healing Across the Divides. Our mission has remained consistent. which is to measurably improve the health of marginalized Israelis and Palestinians through community-based interventions. We work with already existing community groups, both in Israel and the Palestinian territories. We provide both funding and technical advice and bring them together as desired by the groups themselves to exchange ideas and learn from each other. We are very much pleased to be a founding member of the Alliance for Middle East Peace, which is really the only organization committed to grassroots building of peace within the Middle East. You can find out more information about Healing Across the Divides at www.healingdivides.org. Thanks so much, and we're so pleased to be part of this event.
Marhaba, my name is Ibrahim Taha, co-director of Sadaqa Raoud. Sadaqa Raoud was founded in 1983 by a group of Jewish and Palestinian students. Since then, it has been active in many parts of the country. We are now based on Jaffa, and we are local Palestinian and Jewish activists who work together to build binational partnership in the society we live in.
My name is Dina Gardashkin, also co-director of Sadaqa Raoud. Sadaqa Raoud's activities focus on educating youth to be politically and socially active, and on creating a binational community of activists for social change. We do this through facilitated groups and organized socio-political tours of Jaffa. We joined ALLMEP recently because we are looking to join a network of people who are working towards a shared future, both in Israel and abroad. To find out more about Sadaqa Raoud, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, or look at our website, sadaqaraoud.org.
Hi, my name is Rayan Amin, I'm MEET class of 2020, and I work with MEET as a CSTA, and I work with the alumni program. MEET is all about building diverse teams and working together to solve hard problems. We teach our students how to leverage between technology and entrepreneurship to build bridges and maybe make a better future for us to live in this region. ALLMEP's network and work to secure funding is much needed. It's gonna be a stepping stone for the students, alums, and the program to reach its fullest potential. If you wanna know more, go to MEET.org.
Hi, I'm Karen Dubele, Executive Director of Peace Players International, where we use the game of basketball to unite and educate children from divided communities. Here in the Middle East, we're using sports to bridge divides, change perceptions, and develop leaders between Palestinian and Israeli young people in their communities. Really the most important part being the development of leaders who are going to grow up to be effective advocates for systemic change. We joined ALLMEP back in 2006, pretty much at the very beginning, because we really consider ourselves a part of a movement. We know that we can't build peace alone, especially in the Middle East, and we need all the help we can get. You can learn more about Peace Players at our website, www.peaceplayers.org, or on our social media handles, Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Peter Ornstein, President of Sustainable Israeli-Palestinian Projects. SIP is a U.S.-based organization that supports Israelis and Palestinians working on projects that benefit people in the region by providing expertise and small grants. We support work relating to water, waste, energy, and environmental education through our Environmentally Sustainable Projects Initiative. Our civil society projects involve conflict management, dialogue, economic empowerment, and language education. We learned about ALLMEP's wonderful work at a conference in Tel Aviv in 2018. We are proud to be part of this peace-building movement, and we're excited to partner with other ALLMEP members. We invite you to check us out at our website, sipprojects.org, SIPprojects.org.
One of my most favorite things about the Peace Drums Project
is the fact that this project includes many cultures like Jews and Arabs, and the fact that we all play together and make mistakes together and learn.
And what I really love about Peace Drums is that when I play, I feel comfortable, free, confident, and I really be happy. I just be myself.
Hello everyone, I'm speaking to you from Jerusalem, from the Rossing Center for Education and Dialogue. The Rossing Center is an interreligious organization that promotes inclusive values in the Holy Land. We work both within Israel and we do cross-border work. We work heavily within the educational system. We work with over 60 schools, universities, and teacher training colleges. We've joined ALLMEP in 2021 because we want to be part of a bigger and wider movement. Because only when we work in collaboration and together can we make change in the Holy Land. You can find more information about the Rossing Center at www.rossingcenter.org, or you can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn or YouTube as well. Just type in Rossing Center and you'll find more information.
Hello, I'm Noah, a Jewish Israeli co-director of Tomorrow's Women. I work alongside my Palestinian colleagues and friends. I think our organization is so incredible because we work according to values I really appreciate, like justice, honesty, fairness, diversity. Hope to change our society. We join ALLMEP to come together and unite with others working for the same goals. And you can learn more about us on our website, tomorrowswomen.org. You can follow us by Facebook and by Instagram. Thank you very much.
מה קורה? אני ממש מתגעגעת לכולכם. אז בואו נתחיל.
Let's sing, shall we?
Here we go. Shall we?
Yeah.
This is Maria from my house in the old city.
This is home from Beit Halina, Jerusalem.
This is Achinoam Nini.
This is Mira Awad. I love you all.
مرحبا أنا محمد الأعور من الجوقة وبدي أغني لكم.
This is Joanna Jones from my home in Hollywood.
It's Rami coming to you live from the French show.
I'm excited to be connected with everyone across the globe.
This is Craig Jessup from my home in Providence, Utah.
I try to use my voice as a weapon of mass connection.
اسمي سبيرو بوتشي ساكن برام الله.
Hi, Alina Gala.
Hi, I'm Sam Shuri. And I'm Casey Brevis. And I am so happy that this song, Home, that I got to record with the JYC is bringing so many people together at this time.
Hi, it's Alice. Hello from my home in Rahavia. Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road, and although this ways treat us alone, just know you're not alone.
story. I'll laugh and I'll cry and I'll sing. 1, 2, 3,
Good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. Welcome to Light the Way, ALLMEP's global virtual gala.
Hi, my name is Dina Kraft, and I'm a Jewish citizen of Israel, and I'm also a journalist who's been covering this region for over 2 decades.
I am Celia Abed. I am a Palestinian, an activist, a citizen of Israel, and I am a community organizer at Standing Together. Dina and I were the co-hosts of the new podcast Groundwork, powered by ALLMEP and the New Israel Fund.
And tonight we'll be hosting this very special event for ALLMEP, and we're happy to be with you from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a difficult year for everyone. For those of us who care about peace and equality, especially those of us who live here, the violence in May was absolutely devastating. And it jolted us into realizing how urgent it is that the status quo has to change. Seeing fighting break out, neighbor versus neighbor, in Israel's mixed cities, we saw that the veneer of coexistence may be there on the surface, but the systematic inequities are deep. That's why on the Groundwork podcast, Sally and I spoke to people on the ground to see what was actually happening to bring about change. It was also a peek for us into something that's happening during this terrible period.
During the most violent and polarizing times, civil society actors, many of them ALLMEP members, were able to mobilize tens of thousands of Palestinians and Jews that refused the status quo and demanded an end to the cycle of violence and to the occupation. We marched together, Arabs and Jews, in our mixed cities, where we witnessed one of the most violent times in decades. We marched together to demand a true equal partnership towards peace, a just peace for all of us, and a security and freedom to all of us. in small acts of solidarity, like cleaning mosques, synagogues, or any other shared spaces that were attacked, we were able to reimagine the reality that we want to see, that we can change together.
Imagine what it'd be like if these movements, organizations, and leaders were scaled at 100 times their current size. How massive the transformation would be right now if there were hundreds of thousands of peace builders working together. Politics, diplomacy, day-to-day reality lived by all of us here on the ground, Palestinians and Israelis, would be completely transformed.
That's the future ALLMEP and its members are building towards. Over the next hour, you will get to see firsthand the incredible work that ALLMEP does, usually behind the scenes, to support Palestinian and Israelis like us in peace building. We'll also be joined by several special guests who will talk about many developments that you need to know about. This year, the groundbreaking Nida M. Louie Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, known as MEPA, or the Louie Fund, was passed by Congress, thanks to ALLMEP, who is working hard to get a broader international fund for Israeli-Palestinian peace started. Together, this funding can actually get our work to scales of new heights.
And this future is only possible with your support. Tonight and throughout the end of the year, we need your help to raise $500,000 to reach ALLMEP's end-of-year goal that will power its work for peace builders into the year. Now, we're excited to announce that thanks to a generous group of ALLMEP funders and supporters, the first $200,000 donated this evening will be matched, meaning that if you make a contribution right now, it will be doubled your impact. Every gift counts to ensure that ALLMEP can ensure advocating for the peacebuilding community and run its regional programs into 2022. Take Mideast Storytellers. It's an amazing digital storytelling project created in partnership with Bait for Hope and Pendulum. And it trains people to share their stories with the world. So to get things started and also to get to know ALLMEP's membership better, we're going to take you on a quick glimpse at the most recent cohort of activists who are part of Mideast Storytellers.
Okay. We are rolling.
Just give me a second.
My name is Warda. Huda. Yara.
I'm originally from Gaza, born and raised in Israel.
East Jerusalem, Sheikh Jarrah.
Sometimes I feel that we're forgotten.
I'm afraid of that piece of our identity that has to do with victimhood. It's paralyzing.
To be honest, I feel that we've been going from bad to worse for the last 70 years or so.
I'm a peace activist and I live here and fight here and trying to overcome the challenges that we have here because this is my home.
Being an activist, it gives me a lot of power.
The alternative of not being able to do this work is to give up on people.
And I'm afraid of the impact on the Israelis and the Palestinians, on our children and grandchildren.
I don't want any child in the world to live through what I lived.
I believe in the good in people.
I believe that a conflict that we pass on to our children is a conflict that we lost.
I believe in equality.
Love.
If it's worth praying for, it's worth working for.
I believe in peace because I have a choice to fight for the rights of those who don't have that same choice, who can't stand up, speak up to their leaders and their oppressors.
Our focus should be on listening to the story that make us feel uncomfortable.
If you want to break the status quo, move, implement, put words into action, and soon enough, we'll get there.
Bring the voices of young Israelis and young Palestinians into the debate.
And if we can be there, where decisions are being made, where our voices are being heard, the outcome would be different.
Peace is justice. Peace is equality. There is no shame in peace.
The shame is not including many more people who have the same need. Peace is a need.
I see so many of my partners on the ground in that video. And let us take a moment to imagine just if 10, 100, 1,000 more people like these actually led their struggles and their communities into a better future. That's what ALLMEP is working to build. But it isn't easy. To explain more, we are thrilled to be joined first by John Lendon, Executive Director of ALLMEP, and Lucy Kurtzer-Ellenbogen, Director of the Israeli-Palestinian Conflict Program at the U.S. Institute of Peace.
Hi, and welcome to Light the Way. It's great to see you both. John, one of ALLMEP's biggest projects this year was partnering with the U.S. Institute of Peace to conduct this survey on Palestinian and Israeli youth. Can you tell us more about the project and why it was so important specifically to focus on young people?
Of course. Thank you, Dina. Thank you, Sally. And thank you, everybody, for joining the Gala this evening. Many of our members are working with these youngest Israelis and Palestinians, so we thought it was important to know what their attitudes were towards each other, towards diplomacy, final status, democracy, a whole host of different issues. And we also, if we think about it, have to recognize that this is a very different generation of Israelis and Palestinians. I mean, first of all, even the oldest of the people we polled, who were around 21, they grew up after the collapse of the Oslo Accords and into the violence of the Second Intifada and the cycle of Israel-Gaza wars that came afterwards, and also into this paradigm of separation where walls, permits, and checkpoints really prevent them from being able to access each other more than maybe any other generation since 1967. And it's also worthwhile remembering that these are very young societies, much younger median ages than we have in the United States or Europe, for example. So we were delighted to work with our friends and partners at USIP and with Dr. Dalia Shendlin and Dr. Khalil Shikaki, really two of the best pollsters working in Israel and Palestine, to look narrowly at this 15 to 21-year-old cohort, to design a survey and then also to run a series of focus groups that we conducted right after the violence in May. Now, probably surprising nobody, there was some troubling findings inside this poll for all the reasons I outlined earlier, for those of us that care about peace in the region. We saw majorities that reject the historical connection of the other to the land, and also majorities that think that violence is the best or the only way to achieve their political goals. But if we zoom out, we know that the programs of our members, these people-to-people peace-building programs, are incredibly effective at halting and reversing those same sort of attitudes. We've had rigorous studies by Notre Dame University, George Washington University, and others that show that they really are a dependable tool in disrupting some of those attitudes. So now we also see that we have large majorities, if we return back to the poll by Dr. Shendlin and Dr. Shikaki, that are potential participants in these programs. We found that less than a third of both societies thought the programming was illegitimate and would not participate, which suggests that under the right conditions, we have large majorities of youth who can engage in these programs, have their attitudes potentially transformed over time, but maybe more importantly, have the chance to sit down together as equals and figure out ways in which they can share this land together as equals in the future and perhaps succeed where previous generations have failed.
Well, turning to you, Lucy, why did the U.S. Institute of Peace want to partner on this initiative? And how do you think the findings shape your thinking and strategy at the Institute around the pursuit of a genuine, just peace in the region?
Sure. Thank you, Sally, and thank you, John. And if I can just take the opportunity to congratulate the entire ALLMEP team and, of course, all of ALLMEP's membership on its incredibly hard work and dedication throughout this difficult year. We know from these poll results, as John has indicated, this work is not easy. So as you continue to light the way with your resilience and, yes, also your all too often unilluminated impact, please know there are so many of us inspired by that work that you do. Sally, you mentioned the institute I work for, the U.S. Institute of Peace. We are committed to informing policy, but also to supporting the work of peace builders on the ground, building peace from the ground up. So we see it as essential to make sure that our analysis and our partnerships are very much informed by an accurate view of what the values, concerns, fears, beliefs are of the people most impacted by this conflict. So while the results are sobering, again, as John has indicated, I don't think they argue for urgency, certainly, but not for despair. There's definitely evidence of convergence of views and attitudes here, and possibilities that suggest areas for hope. So, for example, while minority minorities still support two-state solution. On both sides, there's a mirror image of these societies saying that we still feel that this is the best alternative to any other outcome. We also see that 90% on both sides value the importance of living in a democratic society. And so while this value does get deprioritized when pitted against other national and identity-based values, we know that these values can coexist when both sides don't feel like they're locked in a zero-sum existential conflict. So this work together is really essential to ensuring that both peace and democracy can thrive. We also saw that majorities on both sides respect the majority religion of the other side, also pointed to some strong possibilities of religiously grounded work and interventions. And we also saw majorities on both sides saying that actually regular people could solve this conflict together because it's really just about political leaders fighting over their own interests. So while we know that polls are just one data point, they are a valuable snapshot. And we know that public opinion is dynamic and responds to positive political and diplomatic developments and confidence building measures. So as Sally and John, you both mentioned the Lowy Act and how important it is to provide this opportunity to scale up this important work. I know that John and I and all of us share the hope that this study can help point the way maybe to the right goals and approaches to help maximize the impact and investment of the US and the international community, and of course the investment and time and energy of the Israelis and Palestinians on the ground who are really working to transform their future more peacefully. So once again, ALLMEP, congratulations.
Thanks so much for this, Lucy and John. And we also have a chance now to loop in the two public opinion experts who conducted this poll and also a series of focus groups that went with them. And that's Dr. Dalia Shidlin and Dr. Khalil Shikaki, two of the region's top polling experts. So my first question is for Dr. Shikaki. What do you think this poll now can tell us about those what do you think this poll can tell us who are looking for a path toward a more peaceful and just reality?
I have four things for you that I think are highly useful for those who are indeed interested in pursuing this. Most importantly, there is indeed a great deal of respect for the religion of the other side. This is extremely important in terms of values. We do see that most of the Palestinians, for example, also view all types of dialogue as legitimate. Only a small minority, actually just less than a third, view dialogue as illegitimate. We also find about a third of the Palestinians preferring dialogue over boycott. I'm now just referring to those Palestinians, they're very young Palestinians. And we also find, as I indicated earlier, that there is a great deal of liberalism than the rest of the population, including the youth. The importance of democracy, minority rights. These are indeed things that are similar to what we also found among Israeli Jews.
Thank you, Dr. Shikaki. And what's your take, Dr. Shidlin? We know there is some worrying trends in there, but can you tell us maybe about some interesting openings and opportunities that could be taken advantage of?
Yeah, I think we had some interesting openings in the survey as well, that maybe those were the parts that surprised me. For example, on both sides, we had a majority, over half of Palestinians and about 60% of Israeli young people who believe that the conflict is more driven by political leaders and that regular people could get along on their own. That was a question we asked in just that way. We sort of read that sentence and said, do you agree with this or disagree with this? And a majority on both sides agree with that. That's hopeful because people express that they are open to having a peaceful relationship with the other people. And to that end, I think that also we saw about twice as many who believe that a political agreement can be found that would resolve the conflict, as opposed to the position that no political agreement will resolve the conflict. Now, that's not to overstate the case. We're talking about roughly half, but still a clear plurality who believe that a peace agreement, a political resolution can resolve the issue. So I think that is a starting point that opens things up. Also, I would like to give the parallel data to the points that Dr. Shikaki mentioned about people's openness to dialogue with the other side. Certainly among Israeli Jews, when we asked if they prefer to have dialogue or do they subscribe to the opinion that you shouldn't talk with the other side and rather you should boycott them, most of them prefer to have dialogue. Again, close to half, as opposed to just about a third who would prefer not to talk to them. So there's more people who want dialogue than to boycott one another. I certainly think the respect for one another's religion is an opening. Too often we see religion as a source of friction in this conflict, and too often it does play that role. But the survey showed that on both sides, a strong majority had respect for the other side's religion. And I think even, to my mind, one of the most important shared findings that were really parallel on both sides is that between 80 and 90% view democracy as important. Okay, even if it's not necessarily their top priority right now because they have very urgent priorities, but the fact that when considered on its own, such an overwhelming portion believe that democracy, with its focus on equal rights for all in some political framework, is important. I think those all combined give us quite a number of openings for moving ahead.
So thank you, Dalia and Khalil, and also to Lucy and John for breaking that down for us. That was really helpful. And this poll shows us, right, that the way reality is viewed for millions of young Israeli and Palestinians who have inherited this conflict. Yet civil society can help light the way to a more sustainable and peaceful future, especially if it's done at scale. A growing number of strategically minded philanthropists are recognizing this, and we're going to hear from a few of them now about why they support ALLMEP's work.
I support ALLMEP because
they make a real difference.
They empower Palestinian and Israeli peacebuilders.
They give me hope for peace in the Middle East.
As an ALLMEP supporter, I see an incredible impact for my gift.
Honestly, I know no other organization where my support goes so far.
The Alliance for Middle East Peace is the largest and fastest growing network of Palestinian and Israeli peacebuilders.
Over 150 grassroots organizations that are flipping the script, doing the hard work of bringing Arabs and Jews, Israelis and Palestinians together.
ALLMEP's purpose is to support and scale its members' work.
How do they do it?
In two interconnected ways.
First, ALLMEP's expert on-the-ground team provides services to its members.
All kinds of essential resources and programs based on cooperation.
From training and advice to capacity building, crisis management, and more.
All the things that these peacebuilders must have to thrive and grow.
Empowering thousands of people to bring change to millions.
Helping Palestinians and Israelis become partners.
Building lasting and sustainable peace.
The second way ALLMEP supports its members is by unlocking remarkable amounts of money for their work.
Over the last decade, ALLMEP's advocacy has secured over $130 million, mostly from the U.S. government.
And in 2020, they went on to unlock a further $250 million.
The largest ever investment in Israeli-Palestinian peacebuilding.
And all this with a small global team.
No donation I've ever made has had that impact or return on investment.
And there's still more to come.
ALLMEP is now working to create an international fund for Israeli-Palestinian peace.
By leveraging that $250 million to move other governments around the world to invest in Middle East peacebuilding.
To create a lasting foundation upon which peace can be built.
To be clear, it's our private donations that allow ALLMEP to do its job and unlock these massive funds for the peacebuilding field.
ALLMEP doesn't receive a dime from its government advocacy. Those funds go directly to the peacebuilders.
That's why I support ALLMEP.
Because I've never seen a more strategic or tangible approach to peacebuilding.
Because ALLMEP's vision for the future gives me hope that with the right resources, real peace and equality are possible.
Because put simply, my donation's impact is huge.
Please join us.
Support ALLMEP.
And make Middle East peace possible.
As of right now, we are up to just over $100,000 in gifts from 112 amazing donors. If you haven't donated to ALLMEP yet, now's the time. Just remember that your gift of up to $200,000 will be matched tonight to help ALLMEP reach its end of year goal.
As many of you know, ALLMEP works internationally to maintain and grow funding and resources for Israeli and Palestinian peace builders. We'll leave it to John and ALLMEP's U.S. Director, Carrie Reed, and some other very special guests now to share more about their incredible efforts over the past year to help support the peacebuilding community.
So much, Dina. I mean, we jumped right into it in the last section, but just to zoom out for a second, as mentioned, ALLMEP is the largest and fastest growing network of its kind. And there's two things that we do. The first, as you heard a little bit about in that video, is to encourage partnership and cooperation and best practice amongst our members, which have grown to now over 150 organizations. But the second part of our mandate is to appeal to governments right around the world to radically increase their investment in this work. As I mentioned earlier, we know that it's incredibly effective, but it's really never been funded at the sort of level that can allow it to have national impact within both societies. Now, as part of that advocacy work, we managed to be involved in the passage of legislation 13 years ago now at this point, called Conflict Management and Mitigation, which saw $130 million invested into peacebuilding work over 13 years. But our big plan, our big vision, founded by our founder, Avi Meyerstein, was this idea of an international fund for Israeli-Palestinian peace. That 10-year campaign resulted in the passage of the NIDA MLOE Middle East Partnership for Peace Act around a year ago, almost to the day. But also, we've been talking to governments right around the world to try and get a big international strategy that can involve the US and many of its allies in really moving the needle in the region. The vision itself is based on the International Fund for Ireland, which was founded 12 years before the Good Friday Agreement and helped to build the civic and economic foundations that we know that real conflict resolution depends upon. In fact, the UK's chief negotiator called it the great unsung hero of the Good Friday Agreement itself. So we've been talking to dozens of countries right around the world, trying to encourage them to think about this tool and about pooling their legitimacy, their resources, their expertise to create this focused institution that can really change reality for Israelis and Palestinians. We're very lucky on this call today to be joined by representatives from a few of the countries that we've been working alongside in this effort, all of whom have already invested significant resources in this work, all of whom coincidentally are also core countries who are involved in the International Fund for Ireland. And the first guest that we're delighted to welcome is Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, Yara Sachs. Now, MP Sachs is the first MP in the Canadian Parliament that I'm aware of with dual citizenship of Israel, and also the first, I think, that speaks both Arabic and Hebrew. That's because she also used to be the co-director of a people-to-people program, the Center for Israeli-Palestinian Dialogue in Jerusalem. So she is herself an alumni of this field, getting the sort of leadership resources and skills from these programs that have now allowed her to go on and play this key role in national politics in Canada. She also, prior to the most recent election in Canada, was serving on the Committee for Foreign Affairs and International Development, where she tirelessly raised the work of peacebuilders and the need for urgent action to support them amongst Canadian parliamentarians. In fact, after the devastating violence in May, Prime Minister Trudeau made an extraordinary announcement investing $25 million in priorities in pursuit of Israeli-Palestinian peace, including $5 million narrowly aimed at civil society peacebuilding programming. That's the most significant investment ever from the Government of Canada, and we're incredibly grateful for the Prime Minister's leadership. Soon after that announcement, the Foreign Minister, Marc Arnault, travelled to the region and actually held a roundtable with many ALLMEP members. He also visited the Hand in Hand School in Jerusalem, the only place where Arab and Jewish children are educated from kindergarten all the way to matriculation. And again, we thank the Foreign Minister and everybody in the Canadian government for standing beside and behind our community. And we thank also MP Sachs for joining our gala this evening and for all that she has done to further the work of peacebuilders in the region.
Hello, bonjour. My name is Yara Sachs, Member of Parliament for York Centre and former member of the Committee for Foreign Affairs and International Development. As a Canadian with deep ties to the region and one dedicated to peace, I'm happy to be here to share greetings and good wishes from Canada for the annual Winter Gala of the Alliance for Middle East Peace. Though we are gathered from many different places, let me acknowledge that I am here speaking to you from the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. I am pleased to help celebrate the important work of peacebuilders and peacebuilding. Canada applauds the work of the Alliance for Middle East Peace. What you and your members do every day helps to promote peace, understanding, and cooperation between Israelis and Palestinians. Canada remains committed to a two-state solution and a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in the region. Such a peace can only happen through the efforts of the parties themselves to achieve a negotiated solution. And any negotiation will only succeed if it is built on strong foundations. This means promoting mutual understanding through people-to-people efforts and innovative initiatives. The members of ALLMEP lead by example in this regard, through initiatives to build understanding and create conditions for peace. Canada will continue to be a partner in these challenging times. Our support is focused on inclusive governance, peace and security, investing in people-to-people ties, supporting growth that works for everyone, especially people who are living in the most vulnerable circumstances, people who have been marginalized. And all these efforts are strengthened and guided by Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy, a powerful tool that has been proven transformative. Because when we empower women and girls, we create lasting opportunities for change for families and communities. We are supporting peace building and efforts that promote trust and engagement between Israelis and Palestinians through dialogue and interaction. Many Palestinians continue to rebuild their lives following the violence of May 2021. That's why Prime Minister Trudeau announced additional funding for humanitarian assistance and for recovery efforts. This commitment includes $5 million to support initiatives that advance the goal of a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in the Middle East. Canada remains committed to international efforts that are inclusive and empowering, because that is how we create opportunity and prevent conflict, and ultimately, a culture of peace. Thank you for your important work. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Secretary Sachs, for your leadership and your tireless support of the Israeli-Palestinian peace-building community that you know so well. Hi, everyone. I'm Kari Reed, the U.S. Director of the Alliance for Middle East Peace. In my role, I have the privilege of representing ALLMEP in conversations with policymakers in Washington, D.C., including in Congress, the State Department, and USAID. I joined the organization in July, so this is my first gala with you, and I am delighted to be here. I'm excited to share that our next speaker is Tom Nides, the new U.S. Ambassador to Israel. He started just 2 weeks ago and is already a strong voice for civil society in the region. As you can imagine, he is extremely busy in his new position, so we are very fortunate and honored that he took the time to join us today. Ambassador Nides is going to share his perspective as both a business leader and public servant. Before starting as U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Ambassador Nides was Managing Director and Vice Chairman of Morgan Stanley, and previously served in the U.S. government as the Deputy Secretary of State for Management and Resources under President Obama. As many of you know, and has been mentioned, one of the most important developments as an organization for ALLMEP was the enactment of the Nita M. Lowey Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, or MEPA for short. MEPA is a $250 million initiative that will invest in people-to-people programs and Palestinian economic development in the region over the next 5 years. It represents the single largest investment in peace-building activity in the region ever, and it is a singular achievement of ALLMEP's tireless advocacy efforts over the past 10 years. In his confirmation hearing, Ambassador Nides discussed MEPA's enormous potential. His words were that MEPA, quote, is exactly what needs to be done, which is not only people-to-people growth, but more importantly, trying to use these monies to improve Palestinian and Israeli relationships. And with that introduction, it is my pleasure to introduce Ambassador Tom Nides.
Good evening from Jerusalem. I'd like to thank my friend John Linden for inviting me to speak at the ALLMEP Gala tonight. Even though I'm 1,000 miles away in Israel, John, by the way, you owe me a nice dinner in Paris for doing this for you. Even though it's been a hectic first 2 weeks on the job as the ambassador to Israel, I wanted to take a moment to record a video for this gala because I truly appreciate the amazing work you all do. As a coalition of 150 organizations, ALLMEP helps tens of thousands of Palestinians and Israelis to build connections that promote coexistence, equality, shared society, mutual understanding, and ultimately a sustainable and lasting peace. As many of you know, I come from the business background, but I also was at the State Department long enough to know that it's a critical triangle of civil society, business, and government that work in partnership to build and maintain a democracy and equitable societies, including for the most vulnerable. ALLMEP represents the best of the all-important civil society component. As Secretary Blinken has called civil society essentially saying, quote, we can't just engage with governments, and governments can't do it alone. Community groups, faith groups, human rights defenders, journalists, and others are critical to the progress that we all want to see. That is why we support initiatives that build on all three sides of the triangle, increase the capacity of civil society organizations, empower the private sector to increase business opportunities, and on the diplomacy side, help create conditions for peace through a negotiated two-state solution. Thank you for all the long and persistent commitments for this cause. We appreciate what you do and know that has often been exceptionally difficult. But bringing people together for conversations that allow us to connect as humans first and foremost is powerful. It's the heart of diplomacy, and empowering those same people to cooperate in meaningful ways to identify and advance goals they share is the only real way to peace. I look forward to doing what I can to support you in this very critical work. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ambassador Nides, for your support of ALLMEP, our members, and for all you're doing to ensure that MEPA is implemented in the best possible way. It's really exciting to have you confirmed and in the region now, and we're looking forward to working very closely with you in the coming months and years. Now, we at ALLMEP haven't just been campaigning for this fund in North America. Across the pond, our advocacy in the UK had already helped to unlock a £3 million peacebuilding fund around 4 years ago, but also in 2018, the UK actually became the first country in the world to officially endorse the concept of an international fund for Israeli-Palestinian peace. Since then, we've had growing support across Parliament. In fact, only in the last few months, the other two opposition parties in England and Wales, the Liberal Democrats and the Labour Party, have now also officially endorsed the concept, really mirroring the sort of bipartisan partnership that was generated in Washington in order to deliver MEPA in the first place. Now, we're lucky to be joined today by the Minister of State for the Middle East and North Africa, the Right Honourable James Cleverly. Since taking this role in 2019, Minister Cleverly has visited the region, supported many of our members and many peacebuilding groups. In fact, during COVID, he even arranged a digital tour to meet many of these NGOs from his desk in Westminster. He's also raised the work of peacebuilding and answered many questions around the fund in parliamentary questions, saying just a few months ago that he was looking forward to working with both ALLMEP and the Biden administration on this important priority. So thank you, Minister Cleverly, for all you and the government are doing to support peacebuilders and to build international support for this strategy to scale their work.
Thank you to the Alliance for inviting me to speak today. As the UK Minister for the Middle East, I am grateful for your commitment to building a safer and more prosperous future for Israelis and Palestinians alike. The Alliance and the UK government are united in our commitment to advancing dialogue and understanding. We share the desire for meaningful steps towards a negotiated two-state solution. Of course, we also stand together in our wish to protect communities on both sides of the conflict. The Middle East Partnership for Peace Act presents a new opportunity to advance these goals. And we're in close contact with our American friends on the progress of this initiative, and we look forward to aligning our efforts in the future. Meanwhile, the UK government is already supporting the goals of the Act through our own work. We fund peacebuilding projects in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories to increase dialogue between communities and a negotiated two-state solution. We also support vulnerable people through our economic development programs. We aim to improve the lives and the living standards by enhancing the supply of electricity and clean water, boost trade and create jobs for Palestinians, and enable greater movement of people and goods to improve economic growth. We must be realistic. The road to a negotiated solution may be long, and there are many obstacles that stand in our way, but that should not stop us from working to lay the foundations for that brighter future. We will continue to focus on improved dialogue and understanding and better protection for the vulnerable. This is how we will improve the lives of Israelis and Palestinians affected by the conflict. I'm grateful for the Alliance's contribution to this, and I look forward to working together on our shared goals.
I am pleased to introduce our next speaker, the Honorable Samantha Power, Administrator for the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, as it's more commonly known. USAID is responsible for administering U.S. foreign assistance and is the chief implementer of the peacebuilding component of the Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, or MEPA. Administrator Power's participation today is extremely meaningful to us, as she and her agency will play a critical role in ensuring that MEPA fulfills its promise to provide the resources, expertise, and credibility needed to create generational change in Israeli and Palestinian lives and attitudes. Samantha Power has a long and distinguished career of public service, having recently served as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations before taking the helm of USAID. She is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author and is the first USAID administrator to be formally given a seat at the National Security Council Principals Table, where she meets regularly with President Biden and U.S. cabinet secretaries to discuss foreign policy. It is a testament to the importance of ALLMEP's work that Administrator Power has taken the time to be with us today to share with us her vision for implementing MEPA. Ambassador Power has seen firsthand the impact of people-to-people programs in halting and reversing attitudes that create mistrust, fuel dehumanization, and make escalation and violence more likely. During a 2016 trip to the region, Ambassador Power said the following words to a group of Israeli and Palestinian youth, and I quote, "You're living at a time in which many voices in your world are telling you that even the simple act of meeting with the other side is dangerous, naive, or disloyal. You have to continue to prove them wrong. No path has ever been built to peace without sides coming together to listen to one another. All of our faiths teach us that, as does our history." Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to introduce Ambassador Samantha Power.
Greetings, friends and members of the Alliance for Middle East Peace. It is a privilege to speak to you, to celebrate the peacebuilding community, and to honor all those who are lighting the way toward a brighter and more peaceful future. Those who work for peace between Israelis and Palestinians, as ALLMEP has since 2006, know how long and how distant the road to resolution must feel. For decades, there has been a broad consensus, both in Israel and the United States, that investments in the health and well-being of Palestinians benefits everyone, including Israelis. That investing in a girl's education is both righteous and necessary, regardless of which side of a line it occurs on. That a lack of opportunity only fuels distrust and alienation. Yet today it has become controversial to provide life-saving aid to the Palestinian people and invest in their development. Thankfully, each of you understand, as we do at USAID, that peace is not some destination at which we arrive in the future. Peace is a process of building understanding and connection between peoples, a process that bit by bit, amid steps forward and setbacks, builds a foundation for reconciliation and harmony. Through some turbulent years, ALLMEP has been the last line of defense for the kinds of investments that address common development challenges, investments that are vital for regional security and peacebuilding efforts, no matter how political lines are drawn. Many of you see and feel the impact that these investments have had in communities throughout the region. Investments that enhance interfaith dialogue and breed familiarity between rabbis and imams can give communities a chance to quell anger in response to provocation and avert inflammatory rhetoric or acts of violence. Investments that empower women and girls to take on leadership roles in peace negotiations and conflict prevention deliver more lasting stability. Investments to address transnational threats like violent extremism or a once-in-a-generation pandemic safeguard all of humanity, regardless of religion, political party, or country of origin. That's what makes this gathering and this community so special. A recognition that your neighbor's ability to live in peace, free from fear of violence or persecution, to have clean water and basic necessities, to access reliable health services and provide for their family is inextricably linked to your own. Today you have a chance to celebrate the next chapter of a major milestone as we begin to implement the vision set forth in the Nita Lowey Middle East Partnership for Peace Act. I want to recognize Representative Lowey for her vision and determination, and I want to thank the Alliance for Middle East Peace for your tireless advocacy to bring lawmakers together to pass this important legislation. Because of your efforts, USAID and the Development Finance Corporation have committed $250 million over the next 5 years to advance the cause of peace. Together, we will continue to promote shared community building, peaceful coexistence, dialogue, and reconciliation across borders. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to these political leaders who are supporting us here on the ground under the understanding that a negotiated peace, a just solution for both people, can only happen through a political will on the ground and building it on the ground. If you have not met the ALLMEP team in person before, I hope that you will have a chance to do soon. Me personally, as an activist that's standing together, a member of ALLMEP, I can tell you the immense gratitude that I have of the team that helped us here. It helped us through groundwork, for example. Groundwork wasn't just simply a podcast that we did. It was something where it helped us voice out our struggles, voice out our aspirations and our work. It gave us a platform to actually amplify our work and give it to the people. It helped us network. The team really helped us network with other partners on the ground and actually see how we can work together and how we can actually have connected stories and shared struggles and shared frustrations, but also shared opportunities. And that is really, truly invaluable.
Yeah, I have to say, working on the podcast together, I was so moved by the activists that we did meet and how they work through even with what can feel like an impossible situation. And I think there's also the power of audio. You hear someone's voice and you can't dismiss them because they are real, they are human to you. You hear the pain in their voice when they talk about their own children being fearful for them and their work during these very tumultuous times, especially in May. And they feared for their very lives in some cases. And their stories are full of some pretty harsh truths, but also lots and lots of humanity. And also the idea that Jewish, Israeli, and Palestinian work and lives are immensely tied together.
Yeah, so we thank you for that. And I am very, very excited to turn to ALLMEP's regional team, who will share more about their work at the moment.
I am Huda Abu and I'm the Regional Director of the Alliance for Middle East Peace since 2014. And today I'm going to introduce the team to tell you more about the growth that we've managed to achieve.
Shalom, hi, I'm Dubi Schwartz. I'm the Director of Membership Relations. Over the past year alone, in 2021, we've added 33 new members. This brings our total membership to over 150, 160 member organization in both cross-border and shared society spaces. Together, these 150 plus members make a diverse collaborative network of peacebuilders. ALLMEP provides platform for these members to connect, to share ideas, to showcase their work, and work together towards the shared vision of the future. In service of this network, we are maintaining a community, an ecosystem of peacebuilders with a sense of belonging to a great group of leaders and activists that are more than the sum of their parts. They know that they should work together, even though they might be different in their theory of change or the field that they're working. It's the full picture, the puzzle that we are creating here. ALLMEP provide them with individual consultation, a safe space for cooperation and learning and development, and sometimes we challenge each other.
Hi, my name is Wasim. I am the Regional Program Manager for ALLMEP, and I've been running ALLMEP Regional Programming since 2018. ALLMEP Regional Programming was built on three important pillars. The first one is visibility, and the second one is identity, and finally legitimacy. With identity, we wanted to make sure that the peacebuilding organization are still able to create platforms where they speak about their messaging regardless of what backgrounds they come from. We created programs that has long-term impact strategy in mind, like the Alumni Leadership Forum. That comes directly from the needs of the field, because we saw that these agents of change that were set to make change inside their society didn't have the enough impact that we needed them to push in the last few years. So we brought in community managers, directors of programs who work on the ground with Israeli and Palestinian activists, and we started building sort of a platforms from them to amplify the work they're doing and the way that they communicate throughout our membership. On the second point, the visibility, we saw that a lot of our membership having a lot of issues communicating the work that they're doing throughout their platforms, throughout their communities. And we wanted to create something very unique, sort of like a community that speaks on behalf of these individuals. We created storytellers. Mideast Storytellers was built and helped with our partners, Beit of Hope and Bindulum, who came to this project together with some ideas in mind to have a platform for Palestinian and Israeli peacebuilders to speak about their narrative and their experiences, regardless which background they come from. We finished 2 cohorts, and I'd say both of them were extremely amazing, just to create sort of an image of what the peacebuilding community could look like, and we're aiming to have more story added to our website, which is stories.allmep.org. All this programming is very important, but what's also important is to be able to up the capacity of the field in general. And to be able to do it on a larger scale is why we brought in our Scale Hub program manager, Judith.
Hi, my name is Judith, and I am the Capacity Building Project Manager at the Alliance for Middle East Peace. I came in to scale the capacities of our members. Wasim spoke about identity, visibility, and legitimacy, and on those 3 pillars, we decided to do a needs assessment to look at what else is it that our members need and what specific skills need to be scaled, or can we support in scaling in order for our membership to absorb funding from the Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, MEPA, implement projects in support of their theories of change and prove that their theories of change work, while at the same time fostering a sense of community within our membership. Based on the needs assessment, we are offering cohort-based trainings on strategic planning and resource management, as well as membership-based workshops on fostering identity and increasing networking within our members. We're offering individual consultancies and organizational development with our smaller members who just need a little bit more of a push. And we have a forum in which we convene all other capacity building offerers in the field.
Hi, I'm Avi Meyerstein. I'm the founder and president of ALLMEP, and at least for this year, a new member of the regional team. Last year from Washington, I got to celebrate with all of you as we watched Congress commit $250 million to a long-term effort to really build a true foundation for peace through partnerships. And this year, I have the absolute privilege of coming here to the region to work side by side with our amazing team and our members and our stakeholders as we really envision and plan for how we can scale up this field. This year, we have the chance of working with people that are turning MEPA dollars into real action and change on the ground as they build partnerships. And I have to say that it's both a humbling and an exciting time. It's humbling because we're only a few months from the last war. And to sit and talk and work side by side with these peace builders is to understand just how much work there is to do and how difficult the work is. At the same time, we can really see for the first time the beginning of an opportunity to make widespread change. You would not believe how inspiring some of this work is, to talk to people whose lives have been changed and who feel for the first time that they have partners on this other side and that they have a path forward.
This is who we are in like a quick nutshell. You might think, how do these 5-6 staff members do that? I'm telling you, we dream about this work. We think about it while we are sleeping, but we are here because we believe firmly that this is one way to bring some sort of peace, justice, and equality to our world. Thank you.
Thank you to the regional team. And I hope that you got a sense just now to really get a sense of their vision and ambition and this expansion of programs that we've seen over the last few years. Even just this week, the team led a program in Jaffa with over 20 members, getting them ready for the resources on the way, thanks to MEPA. Now, around 2 years ago, almost to the day, I was at an award ceremony for the Peace and Sports Awards, along with our board member, Danny Hakim. ALLMEP had been nominated for an award after an event that we held in Ramla with over 400 Arab and Jewish children and their families coming together to play sports and in pursuit of peace. And an email buzzed into my inbox, which is to this day one of the best emails I think I've ever received. It was from two incredible people, Carol and Terry Winograd, who you're going to hear from shortly. And they were announcing a one-time gift toward ALLMEP that was the largest gift we'd ever received. Now, I couldn't have known this, nobody did, but at the very same time, a novel virus was spreading in China that was about to completely upend all of our lives. And it was also about to upend the peacebuilding community. Within a few months, many of our members had to suspend activities, furlough staff, cancel programs. Thanks to Carol and Terry's gift, ALLMEP was able to double down on our work and be there for our network, rolling out working groups that could help them through budgets, operations, programs, campaigns, strengthening our network at a time of crisis in the way that only really crises allow you to do. And it also allowed us to double down on our advocacy in that critical year where MEPA was delivered. Now, every single one of our supporters owns a share of credit and thanks in the 10-year journey to deliver that legislation. But without Carol and Terry's support and sense of timing, it's very possible that that would not have happened. And not just their philanthropic support. Carol and Terry are also instrumental in making sure that we have Huda Abu Arqub, our Force of Nature Regional Director you just heard from, on our team. And they've helped to connect us to many organizations and individuals in North America and the Middle East, always supporting us, our members, and this wider community that's required for peace building. So that's why we wanted to honor them this evening for all that they have done, and we hope that you will honor them too. Carol and Terry, thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Let me start by just saying a few words about how we got engaged with ALLMEP. We've been participating in a number of organizations about the future of Israel and Palestine for many years, including human rights and political groups such as New Israel Fund, B'Tselem, and J Street. And although we continue to support this direct action and also litigation work, we have a strong feeling that at this point, we're really in need of deep cultural transformation. All of the negotiations and plans and activities need to be supported by an underlying sense of value that it's possible for Jewish Israelis and Palestinians to move forward together.
We have a t-shirt from an Israeli-Palestinian peace camp in the 90s that says, quote, "An enemy is someone whose story you have not heard." People need to be together. People need to hear each other. People need to think of each other as human beings and have live action together to initiate that hearing. We recognize that the healing of the conflict will take several generations. Hate doesn't go away quickly. And we see a critical need to get started now with the current generation.
We've been inspired by the model of reconciliation that was developed in Northern Ireland. Although it has not been completed yet, it is a lesson that groups in conflict can transcend violence. The funding of the Lowy Act offers resources and new possibilities for a wide variety of grassroots groups that bring Israeli Jews and Palestinians together.
One of the great strengths of ALLMEP is its very broad spectrum of group and activities, ranging from sports to computer education to musical performance. By facilitating this wide range of opportunities, it helps reach more people and more kinds of people on both sides of the conflict. We see it not so much as peacemaking, but as relationship building, people to people. That needs to come before explicit moves towards peace.
After many years of bringing people together in ALLMEP groups, there are now a lot of young Israeli and Palestinian adults who are participating in the development of the Alumni Leadership Forum, which taps into the growing power and goodwill of those who have participated in people-to-people encounters. As they become the leaders in their societies, they will create a real community of next-generation leaders impacted by these transformative programs who can play a pivotal role in shaping a more peaceful future in their respective communities.
We are pleased to have been able to provide financial support. We think maybe our greatest contribution, however, has been connecting people. Joe Braunwald, who is the brilliant former executive director of ALLMEP, brought us into contact with this idea when he sent us an email in 2015. He said, "Your commitment to this cause is inspiring, and I feel so lucky it was your insistence on bringing Huda to San Francisco last year for J Street that started the chain of events that led her to be my partner at ALLMEP." And Huda wrote us, quote, "What I am doing now professionally is because of you believing in me and in my potential as a woman and as a peace activist. You opened this door for me, and I will always remember that." Huda has been a tremendous asset to ALLMEP, and we are pleased to have played a little role in that.
You may wonder why ALLMEP needs more funding, having just managed to convince the US Congress to put in $250 million. But that funding does not go to ALLMEP. And in fact, ALLMEP will need to provide more of their own funding to manage this large effort. So we plan to continue giving generously and hope you join us in contributing. Peace deserves a chance.
Huge thank you again, Carol and Terry, for your leadership, your generosity, and for your networking skills in helping to bring together this wider community. Now, we're coming to the end of Light the Way and to the end of a landmark 12 months for ALLMEP. We like to think that we've helped to transform the funding, cooperative, and imaginative environment for the peacebuilding community over the past 12 months. Resources are now beginning to be on the same level of the scale as the depth of the problem that our members are trying to solve. And our membership itself grew by over 30 organizations this year. That's the largest ever increase in our history. We launched new programs aimed at cohering the field, raising capacity, and encouraging cooperation so that our members are more than just the sum of their parts. And now with MEPA's resources coming, and hopefully other countries coming on board, we think we can look to the future with a strategy and a sense of possibility for disrupting the status quo that was really on display in May. Now, please go to our site and see our members. They really are extraordinary. Over 150 organizations working in sports, culture, music, education, tech, entrepreneurship, advocacy, direct action, environment, health, basically every activity under the sun, but with the common denominator that it's being done by Arabs and Jews, Israelis and Palestinians together, working as equals, trying to determine the future they will share. They're modeling the sort of reality that Israelis and Palestinians deserve to have together. And they're the embryonic idea of something very different that can take place. Imagine, as we've been saying this evening, if all of this was 100 times the scale that it is now. We've made a leap forward this year, but to keep up that momentum, we need your support. Please make a gift if you can, helping to ensure that this small, high-impact team that you've met this evening can deliver on what we think is a smart strategy in the US, in Europe, around the world, but most importantly, on the ground in Israel and Palestine. Donations tonight are still being doubled, so there's really never been a better time to support ALLMEP's work. I think we're now at a little bit under $185,000 raised this evening. A huge thank you to everybody who's given. This is extraordinary support for our work. And that means there's another $15,000 of matched money available this evening to be availed of. So please do consider a gift if you can. And that will help us get towards our end of year goal of $500,000, which can really equip this team with the resources necessary for 2022 and the challenges and opportunities ahead. And also, almost just as importantly, please make other people aware of this work. We think that we've had some significant impact in the last 2 years, but it's happened during COVID, so we can't get on the road and tell people about it. So please, if you could help, get the word out there, let them know about this community of Israeli and Palestinian peace builders and what people right around the world can do to stand in solidarity with them and their work. We really can't do this without you. Now, I'd like to return back to Sally and Dina. And again, a huge thank you for hosting this event this evening. And a reminder to everybody, if you haven't listened to the podcast Groundwork that Sally and Dina host and that ourselves and New Israel Fund worked on together, please do download it and give it a listen. It's extraordinary. And I think it helps to illuminate some of the themes that we talked about today.
Well, yeah, John, we've been on quite a journey together tonight, but I am afraid that it is coming to an end. Before that, I really want to thank you, John. Okay, John is out of the screen. Thank you, John. And thanks everyone, all of our special guests and the people all around the world watching us. Thank you, big thank you to ALLMEP supporters around the world. And really, your work and your support and your donations really make this work and help ensure that ALLMEP can continue its work in supporting the peace building field in Israel and Palestine, and to unlock the new fundings and amplify the voices of grassroots movements here on the ground.
So this past year has seen war, an ongoing pandemic, economic crisis, and a new government in Israel. And the lowest point for me personally this year came as I suddenly heard the sound of air raid sirens roaring in the sky when I was outside in Jaffa with my husband, my young son, and our dog. So instead of coming for this peace rally, we were instead racing suddenly for cover, but there was no cover to be found. So we threw ourselves on the sidewalk. I put my own body over my son's body as we listened to the roar of booms overhead. And I'll never forget that feeling of powerlessness. But I'll also never forget feeling that I never want to feel that feeling of powerlessness again. And that's the imperative tonight of how urgent it is that we rededicate and redouble our efforts to making change, Israelis and Palestinians together.
It's very easy to forget that there are people who live there. When we talk about peace building and when we talk about your support from abroad, from all around the world, we're talking about us. We deserve freedom. We deserve security. We deserve to live in an equal and just place that provides us with a place that provides us with the lives that we deserve here. And we felt the urgency for these most basic things to really let you know that your support is really affecting our lives here. So thank you so much for that.
Please do go to www.allmep.org.members to learn more about AllMembers' 150 plus members and the work they do. When you're on the site, you'll also see a wonderful new video where you'll see people explaining their work and their connection to ALLMEP and why it's so essential for them to be part of this larger network. And as we conclude, we invite you to see the closing musical performance of the evening by an ALLMEP member. They're called the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. Thank you and good night, wherever you are in the world.
שמה שחשבתי הגיוני לא הגיוני באמת זה הספיק שמסים מהאלף אל הבית זה הזמן להתעורר הבית מתפורר נצא מאחורים ביחד די להסתתר תרימו את היד תפתחו את הפה מול כולנו את סיכוי שהם יחזיקו עוד הרבה זה הזמן להתעורר הבית מתפורר נצא מאחורים ביחד די להסתתר
اصحى من سباتك وطلع لفوق، القوة من بعض بناخدها بنجمعها والحياة على طول ماشية. اسمعها انت قوي، ما حدا بيقدر يوقفك، بتفكر حدودك رح بتوقفك.
هيا شدنا هيا سدنا،
مرة كان صعب علينا نمشي بالشارع نطلع مع بعض، سياسة واحزاب الدنيا قلية، تعبت وانا طالب لهيك احنا هون وصوتنا عالي لنفجر العالم قوة الاغاني.
Imagine death so much it feels more like a memory. When's it gonna get me? In my sleep, 7 feet ahead of me. If I see it coming, do I run or do I let it be? Is it like a beat without a melody? See, I never thought I'd live past 20. Where I come from, some get half as many. Ask anybody why we living fast and we laugh, reach for a flask. We have to make this moment last, that's plenty.
Scratch that, this is not a moment, it's the movement. We're all the hungriest brothers with something to prove. When foes oppose us, we taking on a stand. We roll like Moses, claiming a promised land. And if we win our independence, is that a guarantee of freedom for our descendants? Or will the blood we shed begin an endless cycle of vengeance and death with no defendants?
I know the action in the street is exciting, but Jesus between all the bleeding and fighting, I've been reading and writing. We need to handle our financial situation. Are we a nation of states? What the state of the nation? I'm past patient, be waiting, I'm passionate, smashing every expectation, every action is not creation. I'm